Happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to the Firo Pizza Sports Studio. I'm your host, Brock Baldridge. We have a tremendous sports weekend coming up. Both men's and women's basketball will be set to play in the NCAA tournament this weekend. Oklahoma State baseball has cooled down after a rough outing last night in Arlington, Texas. Plus, NFL free agency officially begins today. A lot of new faces are going to new places. All that and more coming up next on the Sports Report. Oklahoma State men's basketball is in Indianapolis along with 67 other teams preparing to play in the NCAA tournament this weekend. The Cowboys are looking for their first win in the NCAA tournament since 2009. The Cowboys will play in the Midwest region at Indiana Farmers Coliseum. The 4-seed Oklahoma State Cowboys will play the 13-seed Liberty Flames this Friday at 5:25 p.m. Central. The winner of that game will play the winner between Tennessee and Oregon State. Let's take a look at the Midwest region bracket. Starting with the upper half of the bracket, there are so many good teams. Every team except Oklahoma State and Tennessee has won their conference tournament. Plus, something else you might notice is, there's a lot of orange in this region. Illinois is the top seed of the region, and they will take on Drexel. Loyola Chicago, a team that you might remember that made the Final Four 3 years ago, will take on the ACC tournament champion, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. The Tennessee, the Volunteers, will take on the Pac-12 tournament champion, Oregon State Beavers. Then, of course, Oklahoma State and Liberty will play. On the bottom half of the region, you have the Mountain West champs, San Diego State, taking on Jim Boeheim in Syracuse. Then West Virginia taking on Morehead State. A lot of Oklahoma State Cowboys fans upset that West Virginia was seated higher than the Cowboys, despite Oklahoma State defeating West Virginia twice in the last 2 games that the Mountaineers have played. Clemson will play Rutgers, who is making their first tournament appearance since 1991. Then Houston will play Cleveland State. All games in this region will be played Friday. The Oklahoma State women's basketball team will head south to San Antonio, Texas this Sunday to prepare for their game. The 8-seeded Cowgirls will take on the 9-seed Wake Forest Sunday at noon. The winner of that game will play the winner of Stanford and Utah Valley. The Cowgirls are looking for their first NCAA tournament win since 2018. Oklahoma State baseball started their season scorching hot, winning their first 9 games of the season, but the Cowboys are starting to cool down a little bit. Last night, Oklahoma State got a great opportunity to play in the newly built Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, which hosted the World Series last year. Oklahoma State faced Monroe, Louisiana. The Cowboys had a rough game from the start by giving up 4 runs to the Warhawks in the first inning. The Cowboys made things interesting in the later innings of the game, including Caden Trinkle, who hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th for his first home run of the year, and to lead off the bottom of the 9th, freshman Orlando Salinas hit a home run for his first collegiate hit. But despite all of that, it just wasn't enough. The Cowboys lost the game by a final score of 13-6. Oklahoma State has now lost 3 of their last 4 games. The Cowboys will head to Lubbock, Texas this weekend to open Big 12 conference play for the first 3 games of the series against the Texas Tech Red Raiders starting this Friday. The Cowgirl Softball team will be in action here in Stillwater from Thursday to Saturday for the Mizuno Classic. The Cowgirls will kick things off against Wichita State this Thursday at 5 p.m. right here in Stillwater. Other teams in the tournament include UTSA and UMKC. Oklahoma State is scheduled to play both of those teams later in the weekend. Moving on to the NFL. Today is the first official day of NFL free agency. The last 2 days have been an absolute frenzy with players signing with their new teams. So many moves have already been made, and there's plenty of moves that have yet to happen. Let's take a look at the free agent tracker. There are so many names to go over. Some of the most notable ones are former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Andy Dalton, who signed a 1-year deal with the Chicago Bears. The Houston Texans potentially have Deshaun Watson's replacement for now, signing the quarterback Tyrod Taylor to a 1-year deal. The team that's made the biggest impact in free agency so far has been the New England Patriots, who've signed a couple of tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They also signed a wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar, and pass rusher Matthew Judon. The Kansas City Chiefs have been focusing on protecting their quarterback Patrick Mahomes by signing the top available offensive lineman, Joe Thuney, to a mega contract. The new head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Urban Meyer, has done some work by signing one of his former college football players, running back Carlos Hyde, and signing receiver Marvin Jones. Quarterback Jameis Winston resigns with the Saints, and former Dallas Cowboys cornerback Chidobe Awuzie signs with the Bengals for 3 years. This isn't even the entire list. There's still plenty of free agents that are still available that have yet to sign with a new team. To the NBA now. The Oklahoma City Thunder were in the Windy City last night, taking on former Thunder head coach Billy Donovan and the Chicago Bulls. The Thunder would lose this one by a final score of 123-102. Zach LaVine dropped 40 points for the Bulls. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 21 points, and Moses Brown scored 20 points and 16 rebounds for the Thunder. Oklahoma City will travel to Atlanta to play the Hawks on Thursday. On a final note, there's been a head coaching change in the men's Big 12 basketball conference. 2 days ago, Iowa State fired their head coach, Steve Prohm, who was 5-31 his last 2 seasons as the Cyclones head coach, and recently went 0-18 in conference play this past season. Within 24 hours, Iowa State now has their new head coach. The Cyclones hired UNLV head coach TJ Otzelberger. Otzelberger was an assistant at Iowa State from 2006 to 2013, and again from 2015 to 2016. That's all the time we had today for the Sports Report. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at the same time for the Sports Report.
The Sports Report is brought to you by Firo's Fire-Kissed Pizza.